Cool.
Yeah, well,
Brief intros. I'm Coach Bryant Funston. I've been riding and racing, racing pretty serious since 2007. So at this for 14 years, going on 15 years. Coach Dale, he's on as well, obviously. Dale, you can give a little brief intro about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I've been racing now for 13, 14 years, and we've been coaching almost 13 years. I've been in sport performance prior to that for a few years, before we decided to kind of make the right turn toward endurance sports, kind of away from the typical football, baseball, basketball, field sports, team sports, that sort of thing. I've always liked the competitive side of endurance sports, but also the personal mental side of it as well. And then depending on the sport you choose, there could also be a team aspect. So you kind of checks all the boxes for me. But yeah, I with BPC, I do most of the triathlon coaching. I've been racing triathlon for 13 years, and I do most of the bike fitting and stuff like that as well. I've got a background in biomechanics and whatnot. So yeah, I am one of two or one of three this year. Yep. Coach Heather's not on here, but she will be on. We're gonna try to get her on every session to have a second set of eyes. So in past years, so for those that don't know, Hop started about 11 years ago in my detached garage. And it was about Noobs was one of the originals. He's the only person who's done every year thus far. But so we had about 12, 14 people in my detached garage, and then obviously we outgrew it. So we took it all online, and it's gone from 12 people in a garage to 80 people, over the last 10, 11 years. So we've kind of refined it every year a little bit, changed the workout makeup. We've tried to pour as much value into the program as possible by also incorporating the things that cyclists, triathletes just don't enjoy doing for the most part, which is strength work and stretching. So everyone who is a part of HOP also has access to our HOP strength program, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning from 6 to 7 a.m. So Coach Heather heads that up. And so it's about 45 minutes really worth of working out. And then there's some stretching at the end. So that, coupled with the supplemental stretching that we do after each ride session, we're trying to kind of make this an all-encompassing program. Previously, we kind of did the bare minimum when it comes to strength training, more just muscle activation, because a lot of endurance athletes have a lot of issues with just even glute activation, weak hips, weak core, all these things that make us a better cyclist. And so we've tried to incorporate as much of this stuff into this program as possible, but also make it absolutely as convenient as possible, because I'm in a stage of life where convenience rules my life. So I train a lot indoors. I do a lot of shorter, harder workouts for the most part. I try not to do a lot of junk miles and stuff like that. It's all very targeted. So that's what we've tried to do with this program, to make it easy for the time crunch folks. And then we also record everything. So if you can't make a live session, there's always the option of doing just the recordings if you can't make the 6 p.m. sessions. But we always record those, and they're always up usually that night. So if you're a late workout person, you can get them in, or first thing the next morning, they're there waiting for you to make up your session. So there's always an option to get the work in. We remove excuses. So anything else, Funston, you got on that sort of thing?
No, I mean, I think that's sort of the big thing. Our goal with this program is to make it more than just following. We know there's a lot of programs that are out there. You can jump on Trainer Road, you can jump on Zwift, and there's FTP boosters. There's stuff you can do. What we've done and what we really pay a lot of attention to with this program is giving you all the extra stuff. You know, just building the engine is one thing, but learning to be more efficient, learning more about technique, learning about muscle activation, getting all the strength work in, doing the stretching, having a group. It's amazing, like just having a group and just being able to see some of these other videos. We hear it all the time where people would ordinarily bail on a session, but knowing that other people are suffering through it as well. It's that little bit of extra motivation to push through those intervals that you probably wouldn't do on your own. And if you want to come out as a stronger, smarter, faster cyclist in March of 2022, the fact that you're hitting these sessions is going to make the biggest difference, and just that consistency and extra motivation, doing that extra interval you wouldn't ordinarily do. But the amount, you know, you'll hear a lot if you sign up for the program. You'll hear a lot about the mental checklist, and for some of those that have done this before, Scott, Michael, we hear it all the time, like in races, on group rides, people will come back and toss notes into the private Facebook group or just message us directly and say, hey, that mental checklist, I was going through it last night when I was
I heard your sweet voice the whole time.
Exactly, but it makes a difference. So, you know, improving and doing better and leveling up, whatever your level is or whatever your goal is, it's more than just fine tuning the engine. There's so much more tactics, body position stuff, learning to adjust cadence, learning how to stand and pedal. And then Dale and I also like to pour as much of our pacing, race strategy, for those of you that, you know, group ride dynamics, how to be efficient in a group. We try to pour as much of our 14 years of experience in that regard into the class as well, by giving examples on how to apply this stuff. So, and then there's always, we didn't talk about the mental adversity training yet. So we have a few sessions where we don't give you any details on what you're going to be doing, and instead the whole purpose here is for you to kind of expand what you know, what you're capable of. So when you see a pre-written program, if you just sign up for a program and you see you got 3 by 10 minute efforts, you're gonna pace yourself because you know what's coming. But where you really start improving and where it really translates to the road is, you're gonna be on a group ride and you don't know when the effort's gonna end, right? So there's times where we adjust on the fly, and the whole point there is to try to get you at what your perceived limit is, and then show you that you can actually power past that. And each time you do that, you've now set this new fitness level, I guess, or this new idea on what you're capable of. You've now pushed that out further, and by doing that multiple times through the course of the hop, you're going to come out of it much more aware that you have more in you than what you think you do. So that's something that we try to incorporate that you just don't get if you're following along with a written plan.
Yeah, so I know we talk about the hard stuff a lot, and the name of the thing is House of Pain, but realistically, the first large chunk of this program is technique. And so we're going to go over a ton of pedal stroke technique, how to utilize your pedal stroke, each muscle group that's firing at the different times in the pedal stroke, how to utilize that pedal stroke when things get hard so that you're not just burning out one muscle group. That kind of all falls into that mental checklist, but we're trying to work on pedaling efficiency first, and then technique as well. Like Brian said, out of the saddle technique is a huge issue for a lot of people. And then we're going to go over and teach you, kind of show you how shifting your body around on the bike, higher or lower chest positions, scooting forward and backward on the saddle, how that all affects your pedal stroke. and how you can change the muscle groups that you're utilizing in order to give other ones a break, and so that you can continue to press the same effort at the same perceived exertion. So that's kind of all a big part of the first almost half of the program. We rarely go over like what we would consider a zone 3, and it's all very focused on pedal stroke work. There will be options to go harder or whatever, but for the most part, if you're really focused on the pedal stroke work, let's say the first half of hop is very muscular, because we're trying to get those muscles to fire, and we're trying to get your muscles more efficient, increasing your cadence, like your cadence threshold. So a lot of people have a really hard time spinning like above 100 RPMs. And then, you're just a masher by, habit. And then some people are the opposite. They do really well. Maybe they've grew up on a spin bike or something, and do really well spinning a high cadence and have no like ability to push a big gear. So we're not only going to teach you how to pedal efficiently, but we're going to work a wide range of cadences so that you're able to do both. Because we all end up in those rides where especially when you're going like uphill or something, and you throw that gear across, and then you go from mashing to having to spin like 120 cadence all of a sudden, and your heart rate just goes. And so that's something that we address, how to handle shifting from going from a mashing gear, and gradually bringing the cadence up, or the opposite, how to come off of a high cadence and not immediately go to mashing so that your heart rate continues to spike. So like Brian said, we try to put in as much real world information as possible on top of just the workout. We could never put all this information into a workout description. So the training plan is only like a small part of it. If you were to come on and just do the Training Peaks training plan, you wouldn't get a third of the value of this program. So doing as many of the lives as you can, but following the videos to the T is really where you get the value.
And that's what really speeds along most people there's a lot of people that hate the trainer, and that may be some of you, where you're like, I cannot get past 45 minutes. It feels like 2 hours. It is a fact that time slows on the trainer right now.
It does.
But what you'll find, and I'm sure Michael and Scott can both attest to this, being two folks on here who've done it before, we're taking you through so much and making you change things so often, changing your rhythm, changing your cadence, changing your body position, making you think about different aspects of what you're doing, that an hour 15 goes by so much faster than if you were trying to do it on your own. And if you guys want to weigh in at all, feel free to jump in, and we'll open up to question and answer here shortly. But I think that's kind of the big value of it. The other big value is the program is not based to have you at your peak fitness in March. So when we first did the hop, this is kind of one of the adjustments that we made over the years. The first couple of years of the hop, folks were flying because we were railing these workouts through the whole winter time. And we ended up seeing a lot of folks who kind of peaked in March and April. And then you had like the rest of the season that you're trying to get through. So some of the adjustments we've made is to actually scale it back a little bit so that you're still going to have room to continue building that fitness as you start doing group rides, as you start doing races, or whatever your goal is. We've got folks who are brand new beginners. We've had folks who've done this on straight platform pedals, don't even have the clipless pedal systems, all the way up to folks who, have podiumed at world championship events, won national, Newberry's won an age group national championship before. So, there's a big range of fitness levels and people that get a lot out of it, regardless of what your level of fitness or level of expertise is. But our goal is to not have you peaking in March. Our goal is to give you all the tools necessary come out with a really good foundation. And then once you start hitting those high, super high intensity efforts, if that's, part of your plan, you're still going to have that extra level of fitness to hit once you leave the hop. What else, Sanford?
That's pretty much it for the most part. I mean, the second half of the program, basically we do 3 FTP tests. So that's how we gauge your progress, right? So we'll do one first class is a FTP test baseline, see where you're at. And we just use whatever you have. So if it's heart rate, you're going to test on heart rate. If it's power, you're going to test on power. We're toying around with different protocols than we've done before. It's all going to come down to a threshold number. So it's not really, we've always done a 5-minute and a 20-minute test, but we're talking about changing it up a little bit. But we'll do 3 of them along the way. And then after the halfway point, basically early January, that's where we start to push a little bit harder. We'll kind of sneak into those threshold efforts. And that's where we really start to talk about effort regulation. And so like when you're on a century ride and you're feeling really good early, it's really easy to want to go harder and push the group that you're in or whatever. And we'll go through some sets that will really kind of bring it to the forefront of how to pace something hard for a long time, and not overdo yourself and end up suffering towards the tail end. Our goal is almost always not to sandbag it, but to pace it nice and even and finish the last bit strong. That's kind of our goal, to teach everyone how to do that. Some of it comes with practice. You might crash and burn a couple times, but it's part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And nobody knows how hard you're pushing but you. So, if you end up sandbagging it, you just make faces like it's going really hard.
That's funny. So like Dale was saying, this year, one of the big changes we're making, Coach Heather's going to be on live also for pretty much all of them, or as many as she can make, so that we're able to give feedback. So we want to see your videos. We want to see, we'll run through anyone who signs up. Before the hop actually starts, we're going to do another evening where you can show us your setup. But essentially, if you're online right now and you're hearing us speak, you have the technological capacity and capabilities to do the House of Pain. So if you now know you can sign on, you can hear us. The only thing would be making sure your setup is best so we can actually see you and give you feedback if that's what you're wanting. Some people go through the whole hop without we've never even seen them. They just go with the blank video. Dale just switched his camera to what his setup's going to look like, but we essentially want to see your whole bike. We want to see you on the bike, but most importantly, like, even if we don't see everything, if we can see at the bottom of the pedal stroke, so when the crank arm's up and down, so long as we can see the bottom of your foot and as much of your body as possible, that's going to allow us to make sure we're giving you good feedback on your actual technique. And we try to do that, and we make sure we do that. And with Coach Heather being on live now as well, you're going to have a coach that's running you through all the instruction stuff, giving you cues. And we're going to have another coach watching and jumping in with feedback individually and calling you out, just so you know who they're speaking to. But even if your name is not the one being called, I go back and do these videos on my own, and just hearing some, a cue being called out, like, hey, make sure you're dropping your heel, or make sure you're relaxing your toes. Like, just hearing that and doing the self-check yourself, you'll find that oftentimes it's like, wow, it's almost like they were talking to me. I was doing that exact thing. So just hearing those cues and making those adjustments is something that really helps. But this year we're going to have Heather on there to try to make sure we're giving everyone much more feedback than what we could handle last year while trying to give the instruction and give feedback. We're also flirting with the idea of, we know a few pro folks, some from the Memphis area. We've been flirting around with the idea of trying to get some of them on, less from like an instruction side of things, but more so during the recovery side, getting their feedback on, how do you pace an event? How do you approach an event? When things are hard, what are you going through? But we're talking about trying to have some guest appearances by some of these pros that we know and have raced against, just to give you that extra level of feedback and input on how people at the highest level are approaching the sport and the mental side, especially. That's something that we really feel is such an important part of you being successful, is the mindset side of things. And so we're going to give you as much of that as possible during the hop.
Michael had a question. Michael, what you got?
Actually, I just had a comment about going back to setup. One thing I've done that actually helps the video aspect is to put lights. I've got like some extra lights that I put kind of shining at my body, and avoid any lights that are behind you, because that'll create a bad shadow for the coaches to see you. And the video refresh rate is a whole lot better when the lighting is good.
Yep.
So they can see a lot more of your body position and pedal stroke.
Yeah, we don't want anybody working out in a dungeon. We've had that several times. It does make it very difficult to give you feedback. So I like looking at, I'll just cut back to it. So my setup, I've got a wired cam, and we'll put out all the information on what we actually use. We're working on actually putting out a video on ideal setups, but this is pretty much it. Whatever trainer and bike you've got, obviously doesn't matter. But having a camera that you can get far enough away is ideal, so we can get the full body shot. But I also have two big lights that are like over by the window here shooting at the bike.
Can you show them now?
What's that?
Can you show those real quick?
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah. Serious. I got some.
You guys all have lights like that, right?
You got studio lights, right?
Yeah, everyone's got those. Here's the lights I use. They're just my ceiling lights. And there's my my setup over there.
So it's, the more light, the better. I mean, if you're going for like ideal, the light is much more of a thing than anything else. Like even like a subpar camera will do better with lots of light. So yeah, no dungeons, no dungeons.
Nope. And then if you can make signs with a thumb on it, you can then do thumbs up and thumbs down. That's how a lot of our communication takes place. Since folks will be muted for most of it, it's just the coaches that are unmuted. But we'll ask for feedback based on thumbs up, thumbs down. Sometimes we won't name names, but there is one person called Middle Finger Melton. So when things get a little too crazy, people have been known to show their love for us in other ways besides the thumbs up. But I think that's the most of the stuff that we wanted to chat about. The main thing here is we wanted to open it up for any questions that y'all may have. So feel free to unmute yourself, or if you don't want to speak, you can type a message, and we're here to answer any questions. If Newberry, Michael, if you guys want to jump in with anything you feel like we missed, feel free to, but I think that's most of it.
I do have a question for you. You said it was going to be in person for the 3 FTP tests. Are we going back to the Hightailers website, Clubhouse, or what are we doing about that?
So I think this first one, we're kind of trying to be conscious of the amount of sweat and spit and breathing that takes place. So this first one, we're going to stay online. But depending on how things are progressing with the COVID virus, our goal is eventually to make sure we try to get back to having an in-person option for that. But we're not wanting to be be part of the people who cause the spread of anything or get anyone sick. So I think we're going to go online. We'll be online for the first one for sure, but then we're going to do like a play it by ear kind of thing.
Yeah, it will be back. If we go, it'll be back at the Hightailers place if we do it in person. And like Brian said, but I would much rather do in-person FTPs. I mean, we both would. So we're gunning for it, but we just have to be a little conscious of it. We
It's
don't
a
want
great,
finger
yeah,
pointing.
it's a great motivator to see everybody else in the same spot, not just on the screen, and you can just
Oh,
hear people
absolutely.
huffing and puffing and shouting, and it's a electric atmosphere. Love it.
Absolutely. It is part of, I mean, it's like the best part of the season. Like it's,
Any other questions? Come on, I know we got some. What do we got?
So what's the basic setup? So I'm new to cycling, been doing it for about 8 or 9 months. And so indoor training, I missed that last season. So would need to have, get set up to do that. So just kind of explain what that would look like for me.
Okay, do you currently have an indoor trainer?
Nope, I'll get one.
Okay, yeah. So the big thing, kind of the bare essentials is going to be having an indoor trainer. And Dale and I actually just did a podcast yesterday, sort of to help with going into more depth on what types of trainers are out there and what would be the best option.
it's on iTunes now, actually.
What's that?
It's on iTunes now.
It's on iTunes already. So
I am.
we would recommend, kind of from the most basic standpoint, would be a fluid trainer. So not one of the smart trainers, a fluid trainer. That's what most of us used up until the last couple of years when smart trainers got big. Dale and I used a fluid trainer, a Cyclops, which is now Ceres. So we used those all the way up until a year and a half ago, before we got, smart trainers. So on the most basic level, some sort of trainer. Ideally we say fluid because it's got a little more of a road feel. I mean, obviously you could go with a smart trainer. To step that up, we would then want you to have some sort of data analyzer. So perceived effort is great, and you can get a lot out of perceived effort. You'll still get a lot out of the program, but matching perceived effort with another data point with some more feedback. So whether the most cheap would be heart rate. And heart rate is solid for doing something like the hop, because we're not doing a ton of like short, high intensity spikes, where heart rate's not quite as reliable in giving you feedback. The problem with heart rate is it's more difficult to track actual performance gains. So our goal is to have you riding faster at a specific heart rate. You generally don't see heart rate numbers change all that much over the course of a 3-month span. So what we would want to see is your fitness level improving, the rides you're doing out on the road as well. You'll still be going faster. It's just not as accurate in tracking performance gains. So then the next step up from that would be having power. So power is kind of the ultimate in giving you that instant feedback. It's not something that's impacted by environmental stuff, and it's the best way to really track performance gains. So, and like we chatted about in the podcast yesterday, if you have to choose between getting a smart trainer and not having power on your bike, we would recommend going with power on your bike and going with a dumb trainer, a non-smart trainer, because then you're going to have power for when you're out on the road. So now you're getting data when you're out on the road, you're getting it when you're on your trainer. And so it's just going to allow you to continue to progress, continue to track your progress, not only when you're inside, but also, during the summer, during group rides. So that's kind of what we would recommend. But from a bare essentials, a trainer, being able to sign on like you are right now, and a fan is very important. Something that Michael just messaged, we chatted with the folks at Bikes Plus, and they are offering for everyone who signs up for the hop, they're giving 10% off on bike trainers. So we're going to be emailing, let us know, if you sign up and you're in the market for a trainer. Chad Terry at Bikes Plus, one of the owners, has said, hey, here's my email address as well. Have them feel free to email me, let me know what shop they're going to go to. I'll tell them who to get in touch with once they're there. We'll have a list with everyone's names on it, and all you have to do is say, I'm so-and-so, I'm with a House of Pain training program, and you'll be on that list for 10% off. And they sell Tax and Wahoo, I believe, are their two brands they're selling right now. But 10% off for all hop folks.
I think they have like SARS as well, like the fluid trainers.
Yeah.
We also have
yeah, go ahead.
we also have a partnership with Power Meter City and a website, powermetercity.com. Similar discount, I think. Is it 10%, Brian?
Yeah, it's like 10% on, he said, Josh there said it's like 95% of their power meters. Some manufacturers don't allow retailers to give a discount, but pretty much every power meter you get 10% off, except for trainers. So it's fitting that that's part of the reason, or it's nice that Bikes Plus is stepping up. I'm also chatting with one of the guys over at Trek, and he's talking about trying to figure out what they can do as well from a discount or incentive bonus thing for all House of Pain folks. So we're working to try to bring even more value to your membership by giving you some of these discounts as well. And then every person who does the hop also gets discounts on our services. So bike fitting is discounted while you're a member of the House of Pain. Our precision hydration sweat sodium testing, which is a game changer for a lot of folks, is also discounted for y'all. What else do we discount now? There's no extra charge for Dale's for getting to view Dale's mustache during each training session, so that's a plus. That is free. Surprise admission.
It's worth it.
I think that's most of it for now. Did that answer your question okay, Jermaine?
Perfect.
Okay, cool. Good question. What other questions we got? Come on, hit us with a tough one.
So the bike trainer doesn't have, I have a, excuse me, I have a Wahoo Kicker core. It doesn't have the capability to measure power, right? Did I hear that correctly?
The core should.
Core does, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you'd be getting data from the core. So with that, what you would do is you need to run it with something that's collecting the data, whether it's a head unit on your, like a bike computer, that's getting the input from the trainer, or if you're running something like Zwift, a lot of folks that do the hop also are running Zwift in the background, but something that's going to save that file so that when you're doing the threshold assessments, and we'll help you figure out, we send out stuff on how to actually calculate what your zones are going to be based on those threshold numbers. But the goal here is we need to know what your numbers were. We help you set up your zones if you need help. And then you're going to be running zones that are specific to you and your current fitness levels. And then, like Dale mentioned, we'll retest in January, kind of middle of January, so that you're working off updated zones. And then we'll retest you again at the end of the House of Pain, so that now you're going off for the rest of the year with the most current zones. But the core definitely has power.
Yeah, it's a solid trainer. It'll core will do the big thing with smart trainers, and we can get into this later, but all the smart trainers have an Erg Mode, and basically Erg Mode tries to get you to hold steady power during the workouts, and we hate it. So if you ever get into a workout, make sure that Erg Mode is off. Even if you're doing a structured workout on your own, and it has nothing to do with House of Pain, turn Erg Mode off.
The only time you're okay with doing Erg Mode is if it's like a steady state, not super high intensity effort. That's the only time we're okay with that.
Hey, Brian, are y'all going to do Zwift meetups like you've done in some years? I'm not sure what the issue was. And
initially, we are not going to, but we are talking about, we're talking about, doing that, adding it to it. Once people are comfortable enough with getting on and getting it working normally. In the past, the problem we've had is we've been spending so much time trying to help people troubleshoot getting on the group meetup that and it's not even important relative to actually the effectiveness of the program. That it was just a lot of extra work and frustration for those that were trying to get everything synced up. And then if you ever stop, inevitably, I always stop at least once during the warm up. Then you like lose the group, and it's
Yeah.
I've been dropped from my own group ride.
yeah, I got dropped pretty quick.
Yeah, as soon as
one thing-
you stop to demo something, you get dropped.
One thing I wanted to show you all real quick. So something we also do, everyone's going to get, and this kind of goes into the Erg Mode side of things. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Oh, let's go. So sharing my screen here. Can everyone see that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. It might be small if you're looking on your phone. But we pre-built the program essentially, and this is from last year. We're updating still. This will be something that if you sign up for a free Training Peaks account, if you don't already have one, we deliver the program via Training Peaks. And so you actually get what the program is going to be, and it's all customized. So long as you get your zones set properly, whether it's heart rate or power, it will end up telling you what specific levels you should be at. So you're going to see those in advance. You'll know what those ranges are. Now, like we mentioned earlier, the whole mental adversity training side of things, sometimes we go off script. So if you're using Erg Mode, what Erg Mode is going to do is as soon as that interval is done, so for example, on this one, as soon as this 10-minute interval is finished, if we're pushing you for an extra minute, a little surprise minute add-on, you're not going to be able to do that. It's going to drop you down to this recovery interval. So part of the reason we don't like it for stuff like this is you aren't able to go off script. And if you're having a bad day or a really great day, you can't adjust easily either. I mean, there's a way to go in and adjust the percentage, but that's just an extra thing you're messing with. It's so much easier to just ramp your effort or increase your cadence or shift a gear. So that's why we like you going with more of a free ride mode as opposed to an Erg mode.
Yeah, and if you do like everyone's, like most of the head units these days, if it's Wahoo, Garmin, whatever, most of the head units will like run the workout for you. Even if you don't have a smart trainer, it'll walk you through the workout. And if you have it connected with Training Peaks, you turn the thing on and it says, hey, do you want to do this workout? And so the only problem with that is, one, we go off script, and it's gonna, even if it's not connected to a smart trainer, you may be like, at some point the intervals are all going to be off because we added 10 seconds or something to something, and it just gets people. So I would even like, whenever anybody asks, I always say, just turn on your computer, know your zones, tape them to your top tube, and just listen to the coach and just go with it. Don't worry about the structured workout in Training Peaks. Don't worry about the workout in Zwift. Like, just free ride, listen to the coach, and do what they're instructing. Don't get distracted with all this other stuff, because again, we may be in the middle of a zone 3 interval, but we may be asking you to do something that is inevitably going to drop your power. So, or we may kind of think, okay, we need to add some time to this because people aren't getting it or something like that. And then the rest of the workout is going to be off. And for the type A people who always want to have the plan in front of them, it drives them nuts.
Do we have any type A people here?
Better to have no plan at all.
A little wave to the camera for our type A's.
Yeah.
Yes, I see some of you. Yeah, and the other thing is, like, we want you paying attention to the feedback from your body. You know, a lot of folks say block out the pain. We want you to pay attention to the pain so that you're able to make adjustments to decrease that pain and get the most you can out of yourself. And knowing how hard you can push, how hard you are pushing. Like, there's so much value in paying attention to the effort you're doing, as opposed to just letting a bike trainer control that for you. When you're out on the road, you're not having something control a steady effort for you. There are those fluctuations, and just learning how to hold a steady effort. There's a lot of folks, when I first start working with them, just learning to try to hold a steady effort on the road without massive spikes is a skill in and of itself. So that's something you get when you're in more of a free ride, non-erg mode. That's a big, if you haven't heard, we did a whole podcast just on why we don't like erg mode. We're going sideways here, so we'll jump off that one. Any other questions? I think we got Scott. I actually prefer my fluid trainer over my $1,300 smart trainer. There's something to be said for simplicity here. One less thing to mess with, one less thing that can go wrong. From a technology standpoint, is everyone here, either show a thumbs up or you can unmute? Are we pretty comfortable technologically savvy? I know Michael, the gamer over there, he's ready. Horn, I like you also learn that the pets in the background are always part of the House of Pain. You get to learn kids showing up is usually part of the hop. All of that's allowed. Just no crying in front of your kids. If you got kids, you wipe those tears before they come in.
Quick comment about the fluid trainer versus a smart trainer, and I've learned this from experience. You don't want to be 12 minutes into an FTP 20-minute test and get a flat on a fluid trainer. That is absolutely the worst.
Yes, that is bad.
Or losing your connection on your smart trainer, or all that kind of stuff happens. It can happen, but if you're just building your indoor arsenal, then just keep it simple at first, and then you can always upgrade to the cool smart trainers and stuff later, but you do still have to put air in your tires if you're using a dumb trainer.
I have flatted a few times on a fluid trainer. Other questions? What do we got? Anything and everything?
We got Mendy from Naples.
Naples is in the house.
Mendy's been on a few years. He's talking, but he's unmuted, or he's muted. So
anything else, folks?
I mean, we're really trying to soak up an entire hour here. So
yeah, we're trying to eat up all your evening time. Who here's liking the time change now that it's dark at 5 o'clock? Anyone else going to bed at 7:30? I'm hanging up and I'm going straight to bed. That's what I'm doing. Who here is good to ride it from 6 to like 7:15, 7:20 p.m.? Is that a time frame that works for everyone? Most? Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Well, I think that's most of what we got. I think I talked about everything I was wanting to. If you guys have specific questions, we have different payment options. There's the one-time payment, there's the monthly payment, there's the recorded only option. So there's options there for y'all. I think that's it.
Hey, is there any equipment required for the strength training?
Good question. Yes. So if you're someone who, there's the 3 live sessions per week, but then there's also, we have like 560 recorded sessions now too, because we've been doing the strength for a long time. So if you're someone who does not have access to strength equipment, basically adjustable dumbbells, if you got those, or even just a few sets of dumbbells, or resistance bands, those are kind of the 2 key things. One of those 2 are kind of the big thing for doing the strength stuff. But if you don't have access to that, we can put, and we're okay with throwing some of our body weight workouts that require 0 equipment.
Yeah, I mean, most of the strength training, like Brian said, you can start out with bands, like a few different level resistance bands, and then kind of upgrade to dumbbells whenever you can. The only other things that we use occasionally are like if you have a med ball or like one weight, something like that you got that you can do some exercises with, or occasionally a physio ball or a mat just to do some like core stuff on a mat or something like that. So we've kept it really simple and basic equipment. So we rely a lot on like a lot of mobility work and core work where you're going to be doing more complex moves to kind of hit big ranges of motion and stuff like that. So while you're not going to be lifting super heavy, obviously, unless you've got a whole gym in your house, we focus a lot on the things that endurance athletes like lack, like lateral strength. We go straight line all the time, baby. We don't go side to side very well. So but those muscles are what keep your knees in alignment when you're hammering on pedals on the bike, that sort of thing. So we're going to work a lot on lateral movements, rotational movements, core strength, and then just making sure that there are like all the major muscle groups are alive and active, because there's one thing that we hear every single year from people. It's, I can't get my glutes to fire. So like it's very common, and it could be strength based that they just fall asleep from maybe you sit on them all day, and we don't use them much. Or it could be a bike fit issue where the bike position is actually inhibiting you from using your glutes. So there's
it could just be a pedal stroke mechanics issue.
Yeah, it could just be a pedal stroke thing where you've learned to pedal toe down, and now you're just using quads and calves all day long. So those are all things we're going to address. But the strength training is going to kind of like bring it all together, because if we're talking about like the downstroke specifically, and you're using your glutes and driving your heel down, and you can't feel your glute work at all, then we need to be doing some strength work and get those things fired up. I mean, we've seen incredible increases in power just from people who weren't previously using their glutes at all, and then doing just basic, almost rehab style exercises to get the muscles re-educated, and then bam, they're using them all of a sudden, and you're seeing big jumps in power because a huge muscle group just came back into play. Yeah. So that's all stuff that, like Brian, like the Facebook group is a really great community as well, because all of those things like get talked about. Like people will bring that up in the Facebook group, and we will, either us or somebody else who's been through it can chime in and say, yeah, that was me. I did 4 or 5 weeks worth of glute exercises and got them firing, and now it made a huge difference. So for that sort of thing, you can always pose the question during, but a lot of that conversation happens after the sessions, or that the Facebook group is actually pretty active for a thing that happens only 3 months out of the year, or 4 months out of the year. People are in it asking questions all the time, year round. So it's another good value add to the program. Almost did. I got 5 more minutes. I just keep talking.
Yes, the last thing is we got the 100%er club. So we buy your t-shirt and put your name on the hop tee. I actually got one of my hop tees on right now, I think.
Yeah.
Each year a different style, but if you make, this is before we started putting names on it, but if you do 100% of all of the 26 sessions, you become a hop 100%er. You get a free tee, you get your name on the tee, and you'll be the envy of all your friends each time you see them, just for that brief bit of time before you drop the hammer on them and ride away.
Looking for my hammer.
Yeah, where's that baby hammer? Cool, folks. Yeah, we got little baby hammers made. We're gonna be dropping those. Dropping the hammer.
Well, cool.
Trademark coming soon. Patent pending. All right, crew. Well, if you have more questions, we can stay on to answer those. If you want to dive off, all good to dive off. If you want to sign up for the hop, we encourage you to do that sooner rather than later, because there is an email chain that goes out to you that kind of gets you up to speed on everything else. It'll let you know when we're going to be doing that online session where you can have your room set up, and we'll let you know whether your camera's in a good spot, the lighting's good, we can actually see you. So we'll let you know information like that. I know once we get to Thanksgiving, things start coming at you fast. First session's December 7th this year. But if you can get it done before the Thanksgiving rush hits, I would highly encourage it. And then that also gives us extra time to answer any other questions that you may have between now and then. So if you're in, go ahead and do that soon, hopcycling.com. If you have more questions, stick on, or feel free to email us, call us, whatever it is, message us on Facebook, although that's probably the worst way to get a hold of us. But we can give you our email address if you want to shoot us an email. And we hope to see, some of you already signed up, but I hope to see those that aren't yet. I want to see your smiling faces come December 7th. Cool.
Thanks.
All right, you bet.
You guys.
Like I said, we'll hang on if you got questions that you didn't want to answer, or maybe they're just coming to you right now. We're here to answer those for you. Or if you want to show us your pets, we're cool with seeing pets too.
So do you recommend a Training Peaks account or no?
What was that?
Do you recommend getting a Training Peaks account or? No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ideally, yeah, and it's more for tracking than anything. Like, you don't need it to get the workout, obviously, but just tracking tracking the data or whatever along the way, it helps with that tremendously. So, and even if you do a test and you can't figure out how to set your zones or something like that, we can go in there and look at it for you, and then help you set the zones.
Yeah, because your Training Peaks account gets tied to us, and that's how we deliver that program to you. And then once you're tied to us, we're able to see that, see that info when it's
see
uploaded. Everything. We know where you're at. We know where you live. We know the
It's true. We do know where you live because you turn your GPS off and we won't. But
you can turn GPS off. Yes. But yeah, I would encourage that. And if you haven't been a member of Training Peaks, they're going to give you the free premium initially. You don't need to continue with the premium version. Just the free basic account is fine.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else? Courtney, any questions?
No, I'm just here to listen.
Got that bike on the wall there? See, I know you're serious because you got your bike hanging in your house.
That's one of a few that are sitting over there.
I like it. I like it. Lacey.
It's Team Rush here.
Team Rush just showed up.
You guys ever used Zoom before? Or hey,
are we joining dinner? Are we here for dinner time?
Can't hear you.
You're muted. Nutritional accountability. That is also.
I'm here. There we go.
There we go.
Dinner time.
What's up,
Rush family?
It was flu shot night, so we have a cranky bunch.
Oh, well, sorry guys.
No fun. So, any other questions? No.
Am I late?
Yeah, you're late. We're done.
Oh, really? I thought it was at 7 p.m.
Yep, 6.
Oh.
7 Eastern. 7 Eastern time.
7 Eastern. Yeah. But if you have any questions, we can definitely answer them.
Yeah. No, I didn't come prepared to have any questions.
You came for moral support?
Yeah, I was just going to check it out.
We recorded the whole thing, so.
Yeah, I guess I do have a question. If I can't really make any of the live sessions, because obviously the 6 o'clock hour is hard for.
It seems to be a problem for you already. as well as your internet connection.
Really?
How's your internet connection at your house? Let's start there.
Spotty. Hold on.
There's plenty of value from the recorded sessions, especially if you've not gone through the hop before. Just the amount of technique and efficiency stuff that's part of it is huge.
Yeah, but we've got a decent number that do the recording only because of the time problem. But those that can make the time generally always do the lives as much as possible. There's, it's just the added bonus of getting to see other people doing it as well at the same time. But there's the big value is in the videos, basically in the information on video. The way that I always put it is just there's no way we could ever put what we put into the video in a workout description. So,
Sure.
We try to pile as much information into the videos as possible.
Okay. Yeah, that was my biggest question, just because that 6 to 8 p.m. hour is like the craziest section of my day. So
yeah. Well, and we're also like, we definitely believe in the program, and we are 100% a-okay if someone signs up and in that first month says this isn't working, it's not for us. Like, we're more than happy to refund the money there. So
harsh.
you want to sign up and it's just not.
We're gonna cry about it, but
we will.
You'll cry yourself to sleep, but it'll be fine.
I'll cry. I'll sleep under my bed in the fetal position.
We
But
will,
I will still refund your money.
yes.
Right.
And we'll have to skip our Taco Bell runs for the next few days.
Right. All right. Well, yeah, I guess I'll go back and I'll watch the recorded thing for this. Okay, y'all talked about it for an hour. Got to be some good information in there.
No, we just kind of ramble.
Okay. Well, cool. Yeah, sorry, I was late to the party. I won't keep y'all, but yeah, I'll look for the recording.
Okay,
No
cool.
worries.
We'll
Right.
shoot that out.
Cool. Bye. Good night.
See ya.
How do I get out of here? There you go.
All right. Anything else? Or is everyone released? Everyone is allowed to go to bed now. All right, crew. Appreciate you being on. Always good chatting with you fine folks. And yeah, that's all I got. Sanford?
Thank you, guys.
Any parting wisdom? You bet, buddy.
Nothing. I used all my wisdom.
All right, we'll catch y'all. Peace.